All right, all right. Hey, good morning. It is the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We're about to get into it today. Good morning, Eric. How you doing today?
I am doing outrageously fantastic today. My side-by-side is no longer on the beach. It's back at home.
That's great news. That's great news. Hey, you know, if that was around here, man, I don't know if everyone knows the story, but that thing probably would have been stolen the night before.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great news, man. Glad you got everything taken care of there. So if people don't know, he was on a trip the other night with his people on a tour, and side-by-side broke down out in the middle of nowhere, up in the middle of nowhere. So
my belt shredded into 1,000 pieces.
That's not fun. Not fun at all. So, hey, good morning. I'm trying to load up my roster here, so give me just 1 second. For some reason, I made a change, and I didn't update it. But we've got a packed show for you guys this morning. And as soon as I can get this up, we'll talk about it. Give me 1 second. If you got anything you want to talk about real quick, go for it.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, one thing. If my dad is listening, can you please let me know what your screen name is, Dad? Because I forgot what it is. And I want to be able to talk to him in the chat once in a while.
There you go.
So, if you're listening today, Dad, let me know what your screen name is. Text me or message me something. Because I can't remember. Because I know he watches every day.
Well, good morning, Eric's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing is not loading up for me, and I don't know why. So I'm just gonna roll with the other roster. Normally I don't have issues like this, but here we go. Yeah, so packed roster, and then a little bit more to this than what's on this sheet. So today we're going to be talking about Lions news and rumors, of course. Then we have injury update, so it's a little backwards than what you're going to see on the screen. No starters versus the Chiefs. What does that mean? What does the depth chart consist of? What has Dan Campbell said that is going to happen potentially this week? And we'll get into the depth chart there. Barry Sanders, man, the GOAT, he has spoken about this offense. Wingo for president, man. Like, AG had some amazing things to say about Wingo, and I guess I'm not surprised. Mahogany rumor. So inside track here on what I've heard about Mahogany going forward. I don't think it's out in the mainstream yet, so I'll let you guys know what I'm hearing there. And then Dan Orlovsky, wide receiver ranking. Of course, we're also going to throw in today some NFC roundup news and then NFL news. And we're going to do all that here in 90 seconds when we come back. Possibly when we come back.
Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
Oh, great.
Evolution. This is the future.
Oh, great.
Evolution.
All right, and we're back. So, Eric, is there anything you want to get to before we kick it off? Anything that's come across your desk this morning, or are we just going to start running right through it?
I say let's start running right through it.
Okay, let me get my notes up here, and we're going to get into today's action. Let's start with the NFC Roundup. So, NFC North Roundup news. So, J.J. McCarthy, as we know, suffered an injury. It was an MCL injury that they thought was only going to have him out 4 to 6 weeks with a cleanup surgery. That has now changed to he's done for the season. So, how does it help or hurt the Lions? I mean, I don't think it really helps or hurt us much right now, only because, Darnold, I think, was going to be the starter from the get. I think that was their original plan. They were going to kind of limp, McCarthy along, no pun intended, slowly until he got acclimated, kind of bring him around the right way, as what I feel like the Vikings' plan was. And I think now they don't have a choice. Sam Darnold's going to be the week 1 starter moving forward as long as he stays healthy. So injury to J.J. McCarthy is now worse than expected. And when they got in there, they realized it was a full tear and needed to be cleaned up. What are your thoughts on that?
I just got to say, man, my thoughts and prayers go out to all my Viking fans, friends. And listen, their team has just been decimated. They have a cornerback that gets killed in a car wreck. And then their number 1 and their number 2 cornerbacks, number 1 goes down, number 2 goes down. Last year, their quarterback goes down with an Achilles. They just can't catch a break. I feel so bad for them. Injuries have just decimated the Vikings. And then J.J. Addison goes down in practice yesterday. I guess he's going to be okay. But the fact that he went down and had to be carted off, that's just not any fun whatsoever. And then who knows? He may be suspended for 1, 2, 4, 6 games. You don't know what's going to happen with his little incident of drinking and driving there, because that's his second incident in 2 years.
So that was next on the list. Was Jordan Addison was carted off the field, seen on crutches after practice, but then initial reports were that it was worse than what they really think that it is now. I still don't have an exact quote here on what exactly is going on with his leg injury, but Jair Alexander. So Jair Alexander from Green Bay Packers, he's having a great camp right now. This is a guy that, was supposed to lead this Packers defense, and he's had spurts, right? He's had some great games. His rookie season was phenomenal, but he's kind of been all over the field, right? Mentally making mistakes. But he's having a great camp so far for the Packers since the suspension last season. So maybe he's finally growing up, and the Packers are going to take another leap forward this year, in this rebuild. So, I mean, call it what you want to call it. I feel like it's been a rebuild since Aaron Rodgers left, and the Packers are slowly rebuilding this brand to get back to, where they've been the last 30 years. Next up on the Green Bay front, defense, running defense, rush defense, looking phenomenal. Run offense, not so much, but the run defense looking great. Any comments here on Green Bay?
I really have not paid attention to them whatsoever in the preseason, other than listening to their fans chirp, chirp, chirp. They're just not a team I care for, so I don't really follow them in the offseason. Maybe they'll be scary. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I hate the Packers, and I refuse to do anything to look at them, check them out, follow them, anything. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and we're going to start bringing you guys the NFC North Roundup throughout the week, obviously, especially throughout the season. So today's kind of just to get me back in the swing of things. But once the regular season hits, we have all sorts of different topics and content pieces for you guys to keep you in the loop, not only about your Detroit Lions, but it will be, NFC North, NFL news, everything that makes sense to us and things that maybe we don't really care about, but it's good to know. I reviewed the Bears defense versus the Bills versus week 1. Simple takeaway is they're better. They're better than where they were last year. They have grown as a team. I know that, Eric, both you and I have felt that Ryan Poles, purchasing a team and not cultivating a team is going to lead to its own issues down the line. I still expect that. I still expect that they're going to run into some issues financially, trying to keep this team together. But the Bears defense played really well against the Bills' first team offense. Looked really solid in preseason play. Now, again, it's just preseason, but this is one defense I think that we need to watch out for. They were already a top run defense last year, and they looked better. So, Lions, I got to tell you, man, we do have it cut out for us this year. As much as I want to say we're going to run away with it, I think the NFC North is going to be an absolute gauntlet to run through, and it's not going to be easy. So I'm expecting our Lions to rise above, of course. And then on the offensive side, so the Caleb Williams front. I don't know if Broski Bear's in the house today, but Caleb Williams, many are calling him a rock star after week 1. And that, he's the second coming of Jesus after week 1. And, I mean, all this other great stuff, right? And then you have Keenan Allen, that, Eric found some information that he gained 20 pounds since last season. So the big question, is this going to hinder or help the Bears wide receiver? Number one. Number two, why 20 pounds? Why is he gaining so much weight? Is there a little bit of a different role? I think, Eric, your idea was, is he going to play some tight end or more of a tight end role at some point? I don't know, but those are things to watch out for. And then I got a little conversation here about Caleb Williams and some things that I want to throw out there about rookie quarterbacks and kind of, what it entails. Like, what have we seen, over the last decade or so, or even longer, with rookie quarterbacks? So before I get into that, what are your comments on the Bears?
Well, yesterday I was listening to Mark Schlereth, and he was talking about the Bears, and he had basically the exact same look at the Bears as I do, that they're bought and they're not cultivated. And what he was saying, though, is they bought this team, but they bought it in the wrong way. He's like, why have 3 number 1 receivers? Why not have 1 or 2 number 1 receivers and pour some money into that offensive line? Because he said right now that offensive line is a wreck. So if Caleb Williams has no time to throw the ball, it doesn't matter how good he is. And that's kind of what he was talking about. You need to allocate money and resources to everything, not just 2 or 3 positions on the team.
Yeah, I can agree with all that. So I want to get into this Caleb Williams thing that, I want to go through really what this rookie quarterback carousel has been in the NFL for a long time. But before we do that, I want to get to an ad from one of our sponsors. But I also want to say, hey, ads are off right now. We've got to hit that like button. That's the trade-off, right? You guys hit the like button. We don't run ads. So when I come back here in about 50 seconds, let's get those likes up, people. Help this stream get out there. That's the number one way you can pay this channel back for all the time we put in for you, is just hit the like button. We appreciate it. We'll be right back after this ad from our sponsor.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from UperLights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights, with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit UperLights.com for all your UV flashlight needs, with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from UperLights.com.
Remember, it's everything that you wanted and nothing that you didn't at UperLights.com. Check them out today after the show. Get yourself set up for rock hounding, man. Fall's on the way, so it's the best time to go find those glowing rocks up north where Eric Rentamaki runs the land up north there, so in Michigan.
I'll tell you, 2 nights ago, my side-by-side broke down, but you know what happened? It was the most comfortable, warm evening, just a very slight breeze. The water was completely flat and calm. There was a billion stars. You could see the Milky Way, and you know what happened at about 10:30? The Northern Lights came out, and it was absolutely incredible, and they weren't supposed to come out that night.
That's awesome. I've really never seen the Northern Lights in Michigan ever.
Really?
So, I've seen glances of it, far off, a little bit of color, but I've never really seen it nice and bright and beautiful like you do in Alaska or, North Dakota or Colorado and other places, All right,
Sunday
so
night
what's that?
Sunday night here was incredible, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course, we were down in Detroit.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk about rookie quarterbacks for just a second. So I'm going to read this to you guys. And it's really, I'm expecting the same for Caleb Williams as I think a lot of other people are. And the Bears fans really need to understand that this is a roller coaster ride. Caleb can get off to a hot start. He's gonna have some challenges. So besides Peyton Manning, right, there's several rookie quarterbacks that have really struggled in their first year, and almost all of them have. And I've done the numbers. We've talked about it many times on this show that very rarely do you see a CJ Stroud. It's like 1 out of every 5 or 6 years do you get a CJ Stroud. And even then, that's pushing it. I went all the way back to 2017, and really outside of Lamar Jackson having a little bit of success in his rookie season, it's been CJ Stroud. That's it since like 2017. And you can continue to follow that trend all the way back because like this statement is, Peyton Manning is pretty much the only one that had a very successful, first season. Tom Brady didn't play well his rookie season. He was a backup. Then he went to a franchise or backup to then franchise quarterback Drew Bledsoe. Brady threw just 3 passes in his rookie season, only because he was a backup, right? Now he's a 7-time Pro Bowl champion. So what we see in the very beginning of someone's career usually doesn't define them, whether that means they're starting out hot and they're having immediate success. Well, they could be a pile of, dung by the end of their career. And conversely, they may not start out great and they could finish into a 7-time Super Bowl champion like Tom Brady. Then you have like reigning MVP Lamar Jackson, who backed up Joe Flacco for the bulk of his rookie year and didn't start until late in the season. Now he's a 2-time MVP for the Ravens, is one of the NFL's most fun players to watch. I wouldn't say he's one of the best players to watch. I mean, he's fun, right? But I think that there's a big difference between fun and someone that can lead you, and take you the distance. And I think that that's the defining line for Lamar Jackson. He just can't cross the threshold. He can't get onto the other side. He's fun to watch. Run around all you want. But can you make the plays when you need to make the plays to get your team to the next level? New Orleans Saints. Legend, of course, Drew Brees. He sat under Doug Flutie. Now, Doug Flutie was amazing to watch. You want to talk about a guy that was courageous, game changer. But anyway, his rookie year with San Diego, he sat under Doug Flutie during his rookie year with the San Diego Chargers. Similar to Brady, Brees only threw 27 passes in his rookie season. And now he's a Super Bowl winner. Obviously, one of the best to ever do it. Hall of Famer. And then more recently, you have Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, right? Disastrous rookie season. Disastrous. And then that was with Urban Meyer as a head coach. And when the Jags hired Doug Peterson to replace Meyer after just one season, Lawrence kind of got back on track. Now, I wouldn't say he deserves this giant contract that he just received, but he's kind of gotten back on track. And he's been playing a little bit better. But then you got our guy, Jared Goff. Struggled immensely during his rookie year, but that wasn't his fault. He was thrown into a situation where the team wasn't winning any games, right? I think they won 3 games the entire season. And he comes in and they lose the rest of the season. I think he was 0-7 his rookie season. But he didn't have anybody. Like the team was extremely hurt everywhere, injuries everywhere. But it was the team's first year in the city of Los Angeles, right? Or City of Angels, I guess. Goff was thrown into the gauntlet with high expectations that just didn't pan out his rookie year. So he's unfairly labeled as a bust. Goff ended up leading the Rams to the Super Bowl in 2018. So just another year or two later, he's in the Super Bowl. Perennial playoff guy, right? And then Sean McVay throws him to the Wolves. And then he comes to Detroit, where he kind of has a repeat of a rookie season. No weapons to throw to, nobody on an offense, struggles, But you could see that the talent was there. You could see the leadership was there. You could see that if he just had some things behind him or in front of him or to the side of him, he could do some things with the football. The next year starts out slow, and then the transformation happened. So what I'm trying to say here is just because you see things in the very beginning, it doesn't mean that it's always going to finish that way. It could start out like crap and turn into something amazing, right? And that's what we're seeing here. That's what we're talking about here. All of these quarterbacks, outside of Peyton Manning or, even really Lamar Jackson, really started off in a bad way. And now they're some of the best, whether retired or still active, quarterbacks in the league. So temper those expectations, Bears fans. Same thing with the Vikings. Look, JJ, was having a great preseason game, played pretty well. Now you got an injury. Injuries are part of the game. Obviously, it's not something you expect. But had he played healthy throughout the preseason, and could he have been a week 1 starter? I still don't think so. I think that Sam Darnold was that guy and is going to be that guy because they don't want to ruin the quarterback of the future. At least I would hope that the Vikings don't want to ruin their quarterback of the future. Now, they've put a lot of stress on Caleb in Chicago, so I feel like now they don't have a choice. Like, they're all in on Caleb. It's Caleb's time to sink or swim. I'm not saying that he won't have times of greatness or flashes of brilliance this season, but that's why there's 17 games, not just one. We have to see it throughout the whole season. Comments?
If you look back at every NFC North rookie quarterback in the last decade, none of them have done anything. And that's just the NFC North. CJ Stroud is such an anomaly, and he came into a team and nobody saw it coming. And I don't think anyone's going to have a rookie season like that again in a super long time. That was just striking lightning in a bottle with that kid. And I know a lot of people are wondering if CJ Stroud can do it again this year.
That's really tough.
I really liked him in the draft last year, but I don't know if he can do it again this year. As a second-year player, I have my doubts whether he can pull it off and have a season like last year. A lot of people are saying that they're seeing that they think that the Texans might fall off a little bit this year, even though they've kept adding to this team. So to have that great quarterback play and consistent quarterback play year after year is super, super, super tough. It's so hard to do in the NFL now these days. And to have a rookie come in and have that kind of season, I would temper my expectation, Bears fans, especially Broski Bear if he's around today. Just temper it, because rookie quarterbacks just do not go to the Super Bowl success very often. When's the last time a rookie quarterback went to the Super Bowl?
I don't know of any of them, honestly.
I think Roethlisberger did, didn't he? And he lost.
I don't remember, and that was 20 years ago, probably.
Yeah, and I don't think a rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl. I don't think it's ever been done.
Maybe you can do a quick Google search while I get into the next topic, which is welcoming in the Loyalty Crew this morning. So let's welcome in the chat today. Let's see who's rocking with Rock Down Detroit Lions this morning. So we got things kicked off with Roger Chappis, who is a new moderator added to the group. He got in bright and early. Of course, we got the Uperlights, Eric Rintamaki. We've got Michael Garrity in the house. Mike P. Rick. Cake Man 1218. Trace taking care of grandkids this morning. Good morning, Tracy. We got, who else in here? Who else is in this house? We got DLR Van Halen in the house this morning. Who else is here? Brent Lighton, of course. Good morning. Bruce MacArthur. I'll make some comments here on some things I see. J-Rod, I hope you're feeling better. J-Rod's in the house. Steve K, good morning, and thank you for the coffee yesterday. Much appreciated. We always appreciate your support. Giovanni Capellaro. That looks like a new name. Or Capellaro. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too bad. Welcome in this morning to Rock Down Detroit Lions. Bucky's in the house. And who am I missing? You got Chef Talks Lions at the All Grit Pod. If you guys have not checked out or subscribed to the All Grit Pod, please do that today. Wayne Rogers is joining us this morning. Who else? Peter Van Larhoven has made the list today. We got Buzz. Buzz, that's a new name. Welcome in this morning. If I haven't seen you before, I apologize. And anybody I'm missing? I think we're good. So, J Mommy's in the house. I see J Mommy back.
Oh, that's cool.
So, look, I see that there's some things going on in the chat here. We're talking about some food. We're talking about people not feeling the greatest. Yeah, I just went through a sickness. I'm still getting over it. It's not fun. Whatever the hell's going around right now, it's not fun. Daryl Bell's in the house. Good morning. Bobby Stark's in the house. Good morning. Let's see here. So I've seen something in here about processed food. Now, I'm not a doctor. Do not follow my advice. This is just my opinion. Processed food, anything that comes in a bag, anything that comes in a package, like, ham or turkey, that type of stuff, get rid of it. Go get some real meat, and even then you got to be careful, what you're eating. And I'll just mention this about my dog Gunner. So we lost Honey, about 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and made a transition to dog food because it's something I wanted to do for a long time. Being a former chef, I was an executive chef early in my life. Always worked, a few different things while I was running the family's company or, being a chef at the same time. That's just what I did. Learned a lot about food. So I started making Gunner all, fresh food, fresh chicken, fresh turkey. You boil it and then I add, vegetables, peas and carrots and green beans, mash it all up, brown rice, white rice. And I have noticed such a huge transformation in a 12-year-old dog. He lost about 10 pounds quickly. Coat's nice and shiny. He's full of energy. You can just tell he's happy. He feels great. He's excited about eating. He would push away his dog food, and we didn't buy cheap dog food. We bought really expensive dog food. Pushed it away. Both dogs would. It's like they were sick of it. They knew something was wrong with it. And so we switched foods a few times over the last year or so. And this food that I'm making for my pup now is totally changed his ways. I'm not sure that I'll get a sponsorship or something from one of those, fresh dog food makers. I'm considering making my own and putting it out there. And I just don't know all the rules or regulations to do that. But I found very simple recipes that are not hard to make, that can be mass produced. And if I've noticed this transformation in my dog, I can only imagine what a healthy diet can do for a human, right? I mean, it's so important to get the right food. Processed food is terrible. So if you're feeling sick today, look in your cupboards, man. There's a lot of stuff that is not allowed in other countries that is allowed in this country, and I don't understand it. So, all right. So the Brent Lighton is on the he's on the lion diet. He's on the red meat diet. That's how they started talking about food. But we're going to get back to football now, unless you got any comments, Eric.
So I looked up a couple of things. I was wrong. Okay, I'm going to admit it right now. I was wrong this morning. No rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl in the 57 years of the game's existence as the starter. In fact, no rookie has ever even reached the Super Bowl as a starter for the team. And in NFL history, only 6 rookie quarterbacks have won their first playoff game, with none making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And to say that was part of the work that I did a while ago looking at rookie quarterbacks. It was 2 to 3 years on average, 2 to 3 seasons on average before a rookie quarterback would even make the playoffs to lose, not even win. And Jared Goff, since he's been in the league, he had 2 really bad seasons, right? He got thrown in, as a rookie, and then he kind of got thrown in again with the Detroit Lions in 2021. And outside of that, he's been pretty much a perennial playoff, kind of guy. Super Bowl one time, and he has the most playoff appearances and wins, or the third most out of all active quarterbacks today. And that's a lot to be said about Jared Goff. And I think that's, something that a lot of fans didn't understand. Even, all these other pundits and analysts and, media people that take a look at this stuff and say, hey, I think you guys forgot something. You forgot that Jared Goff's pretty good. Like, I get it. You know, you hear these things about Jared that, well, he needs this to succeed. He needs that to succeed. And, you know, look, every quarterback does. Every team does. It's not an indictment on Jared Goff's success that he has a good offensive line, that he has a couple of good running backs, that he has maybe a couple of weapons that he can throw to. Tell me what quarterback that wins in this league doesn't have some semblance of a really good team. So whether it's a number one defense or a number one offense, you need one or the other. You need something, to have your team win. So NFL news, and then we're going to run into Detroit Lions news. So NFL news, Matthew Judon traded to the Falcons for a 2025 third-round pick. I told you. When did I tell you? I told you a very long time ago that Matthew Judon was not coming to the Detroit Lions. So we're done with that. You could package that one up and send it.
Yeah, and a third-round pick for a 1-year rental? No, thank you.
Well, 1-year rental that wants a big contract. So Giants also send defensive tackle Jordan Phillips to the Cowboys. So that could affect us at some point this season. We'll see how well Jordan Phillips continues to play. All right, so before we get to Lions news, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. Sports Spider, tell us all about Sports Spider. Is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to sportspider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit SportsSpider.com today, right after the show. All right, let's get into it. I think I'm going to start with Dan Orlovsky, because some of this stuff I don't get. I don't understand. I mean, I respect Dan. I think that he's actually really solid. I think he's always been a hell of a supporter of the Detroit Lions, and a lot of that I feel was when Matthew Stafford was here. But when Matthew Stafford exited, I feel like Dan's kind of lost his mojo with the Lions. He's kind of turned into a talking head, more often than not, as opposed to, I don't know. I guess I don't really know how to.
He's trying to come off as an anti-homer because he played for the Lions, and he just doesn't want to seem like he's always rooting for them. I think he has all these friends in New York and at ESPN and everywhere else, and he's just trying to come off as an anti-homer.
I still think he's a homer. Just not for the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. I think he had his favorite team before he played for the Lions, and I think he respects, his time with the Lions, but I don't think he was ever a Lions fan.
So the question came up, who has the best group of receivers in the NFC North? And this is what I will say before I get into any of this. The Lions are struggling right now after wide receiver 2. But I think when you look at the totality of what we really have, does wide receiver 3 even matter? That's the question I want to pose to the chat. Does wide receiver 3 even matter right now? And even talking about wide receiver 4, how many targets do you really expect wide receiver 4 to get this year? How much of an impact, assuming everybody stays healthy, how much of an impact does wide receiver 4 even make on any team? 250 yards a year? 25 balls? Maybe. So last season, the Lions had 4 players responsible for 90+% of the offense. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those 4 players had over 4,000 yards. Almost all the offense. Okay? So with that said, that's only, how many receivers did I mention?
2?
2.
Or 1?
1.
Yeah, only 1.
1.
Yeah.
Now, Josh Reynolds had like 600 yards, was it? 700 yards, something like that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was decently responsible for a portion. So, okay, so let's throw wide receiver 2 into the conversation. Important position. But I'm talking wide receiver 4. Then here's what Here's what Dan Orlovsky did. He said, I wanted five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, above average plus pass catchers as criteria. 5. When most teams barely use wide receiver 3. Right? Unless, again, someone's injured. Then he also said that tight ends were included in the pass catching criteria. And he said that Minnesota took 2 spots over Chicago strictly because JJ accounts for 2+ players. He's so good.
I wonder if he also gave him Hawkinson, who's not going to start the season to play.
Well, no, he's talking about Chicago, or he's talking about Minnesota, right? That they're giving Justin Jefferson 2 spots because he's so good. What does that mean for Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah,
I mean, where was the yardage difference between Amon-Ra St. Brown and JJ last year? They were almost neck and neck, were they not?
Yeah, Amon-Ra had more.
Okay, then I rest my case. So here's what he had: Packers number 1, Vikings number 2, Chicago number 3. Your Detroit Lions is number 4. Now I'm going to go off of his criteria here. So he has Packers, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, Dontavian Wicks. Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor, Brandon Powell. Bears, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keelan Allen, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. So 2 tight ends in the mix there. Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond, Brock Wright. Okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. There's 2,000 yards from last year. If you want to compare last year's numbers, and I should have done this, if you want to look at last year's numbers, matter of fact, you want to pull up the Packers stats. I'll pull up the Vikings
For receiving yards?
Yeah, per player. I'll look up the Vikings here. So last season, Justin Jefferson had 1,074 yards. Now, yes, he was injured like the entire season. He missed a lot. Let me get back to my Dan Orlovsky thing here. So Vikings, he had 1,074 for Watson, or 1,074 for Jefferson. Jordan Addison had 911 yards. He got a huge uptick in targets when Jefferson obviously was out. Hawkinson, 960 yards. Jalen Naylor. Was he even on the team last year? Yeah, 29 yards. Yeah, that sounds like a good player to throw in there, Orlovsky. Brandon Powell, former Detroit Lion, 324 yards. So their receiving core combined, 3,298 yards. Let me make that note. Vikings, 3,298 yards. Now, of course, we're talking last year's numbers, right? What do you got for Packers? So you got Christian Watson. How many yards?
God, I hate that you made me look up Packer crap. All right, here we go. Christian Watson had 422 yards.
All right, now Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs had 674 yards.
And Jaden Reed?
793.
How about Luke Musgrave?
Let's see.
Who was supposed to be a better tight end than Sam Laporta, need I remind you?
352.
Oh, wow. And how about Dontavian Wicks?
581.
So that's a total of 2,822 yards.
Yeah, bunch of number 3s.
Yeah. All right, so how about the Bears here? Let me pull up the Bears stats, and then you can pull up the Lions.
All right.
All right. So for the Bears here, we had DJ Moore, 1,364 yards. Let me get in this again here. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so DJ Moore had 1,364. Rome Odunze, we don't know yet, but we'll just comfortably give him we'll give him 1,000. Let's go on the high side. Keenan Allen, probably shouldn't do it. Probably shouldn't give him 1,000. That's quite a lot. Keenan Allen, I can't remember what he had last year. He had what, 13, 12, somewhere in that range. Cole Kmet, 719. And Gerald Everett, I don't know what he had last year. I have to look up his stats. I know this is a long exercise, but we'll be done here in just a minute. I just want to throw this all, together and see. He had 411 yards. And who was the other guy that I didn't know? Keenan Allen. He had 1,243 yards. Okay, so assuming that, it's not going to happen. There's no way Odunze's going to have 1,000. There's no way that the rest of these guys are going to have the yards that, they have last year, this year.
Yeah.
Simply because now you have all these guys competing. So I'm going to take comfortably 25% away because the ball's going to be split up. But that still puts them in the lead right now with about 3,600 yards. That's what I'm going to roll with for the Bears. So, just about everybody can make a play, right? But that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say that they have 3,600 yards between all those players, which was at about 4,700 yards based on last year's stats. Now you have the Lions. What do we got for the Lions? So Amon-Ra St. Brown.
1,515.
So he's the leading receiver out of the NFC North last year.
Out of all of them, yep.
Sam Laporta.
889.
That's it?
Yep.
Thought he had more than that. So he would have been the second tight end in the NFC North. Jameson Williams.
Oh, J-Mo had 354.
And that number should go up, 800-900 yards this year.
Yep.
And then Khalif Raymond.
Khalif Raymond had 489, which is kind of surprising. I didn't think he had that many.
I didn't think so either. Brock Wright, he was injured last year. So if we were to give him a standard average of tight end play as a tight end 2, I'm going to go with like 450.
Yeah, he had 91 last year.
Yeah, but I'm going to go 450 with an average for some. I mean, his average is actually probably closer to 300. Let me minus 150.
They're not putting in there is what Josh Reynolds did as a number 2, and he had 608 yards as our number 2 last year.
So if I were to throw Josh Reynolds in there, versus or put those numbers in for Jameson Williams, assuming that Jameson's going to be able to put those kind of numbers up, which he should.
Yeah, I think he's going to do better than that.
That would give you the Lions the number 1 wide receiver group in the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just look at all things being equal, right? So the Vikings and the Packers, everyone that's playing for them this year was on the team last year, or they were drafted. The Bears and the Lions are the only 2 teams that have players coming in this year that didn't play last year, or they've changed positions. Jameson's moving up, the depth chart. Khalif is healthy. Brock Wright is healthy. So you've got 3 guys on the Lions list. J-Mo was, relegated to a number 4 last year, maybe a 5 at times. Khalif Raymond was injured and then was, possibly a number 3, number 4 at times. Brock Wright didn't play. But, keeping things, equal here, there's no reason in the world why Green Bay would even be number 1. It should be the Bears based on this exercise. And then it should be the Vikings. And then it should be the Bears, then the Lions, right? But when I look at what the Lions did last year and what they're expected to do this year, the Lions would be number one on this list. We haven't even spoken about Gibbs.
Yeah. And
Right?
I think, Gibbs is really going to be more receiving this year. I think they want to get him the ball more because the ball in his hands, oh man. Let me see what Gibbs had last year.
Yeah, I mean, the electrician is going to get busy with it this year. When he gets the ball in his hands and in space, he is hard. He is hard to bring down. Same thing for Jameson. When he gets the ball in space, the guy just makes one move and he can get beyond you quickly. So I'm just saying that, for these types of exercises, it's largely impossible to do these exercises with any sort of fact behind it because you're guessing at what these guys are going to do this year. And I can only say one thing. I am confident in the fact that Jared Goff is going to make the right decision with the ball. I am confident that Sam Laporta is going to do Sam Laporta things, that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to do Amon-Ra St. Brown things, that Gibbs is going to be able to rise to the occasion and be more dynamic in the passing game. So when I look at his criteria, once again, having 5+ pass catchers that were average or better, I see where the Lions have more opportunity for pass catchers than the rest of the NFC North teams. I just do.
Yeah. So here's something for you, Will.
Yeah.
So Gibbs last year in 15 games had 52 receptions for 316 yards. So if you take Brock Wright out of the equation and put Gibbs in as your number 4,
yeah,
there you go, right there.
Yeah, and I think you can just throw Reynolds yards on Jameson too. I mean, there's no reason in the world if Jameson doesn't have 800+ yards this year, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
That opportunity is there for someone, whether it's JMO or whether it's Gibbs or whether it's somebody that we pick up after cuts. There's opportunity there for someone in the passing game to get 600 to 800 yards.
All right, what do we gotta have a like check here. What do we got for likes on the stream right now? Anybody know?
Let's see right now. Let's look. We got 41.
Oh, we need 9 more. We got 9 more to get to our morning show averages. We want to have at least 50 likes. I don't know how many people we got watching right now.
Got 77 in right now.
77 people this morning. Good morning. Make sure you say hi and good morning to everybody in the chat this morning. Share this link to everybody so that all of your Lions fans can watch. Jack Campbell. Let's get into Jack Campbell. Let's transition here into some more news. So anyway, look, Dan Orlovsky, love you, man. I love what you do, but I think you wasted your time on that exercise. I'm just saying. Uh-oh. That roster is not correct. Look at that.
Hey.
Don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Hold on. Let me go back to that. Let me try to fix that. Something's not wanting to play nice this morning.
At least it's something simple today.
Yeah, those things can be simple. There we go. We'll roll with that one today.
Well, Will and I had a discussion off air yesterday about taking our little friend, the gremlin, out to Lake Superior and having a little funeral for him.
Yeah, when I get up there to do the tour, man, we're gonna baptize the gremlin.
Yeah, we're gonna take him out, and just like Jeff Daniels and Peyton Manning with the bathtub full of gin, we're gonna take care of the gremlin.
Looks like we got a fiery chat this morning. You guys are having some fun. All right, Jack Campbell. Let's get into Jack Campbell. AG had some great things to say about Jack Campbell, and I gotta find my notes here. So we're all expecting a much improved season from Jack Campbell, right? He was highly underrated last season. Coming into the draft, nobody expected a linebacker of his status to go in round 1. He was the linebacker that I picked to the Lions before the draft, and it was all because of what he did on the field. It was how he played the game. He seemed to always be in the right position at the right time. Heavy hitter, arms always working, man. He's always trying to punch out a ball and create a play. And I notice all the little things, right? When I'm watching these players and scouting these players, to be able to talk about them during the draft or before the draft or whatever, now as a Detroit Lion, that was one of the most impressive things that I found about Jack Campbell is that his mind was always one step ahead. He's, making an angle to the ball carrier or receiver. And the first thing that he does when he gets close is he's already swinging that arm, man. He's trying to punch that ball out, or he's doing a body chop or something to try to make another play. And it's for those reasons that I feel like Jack Campbell, or that reason alone, that I feel like Jack Campbell is going to have more success this season because he understands the scheme better. He's going to know where to be and how to get there faster. His coverage skills have changed quite a bit this year. According to Aaron Glenn, his ability to drop in coverage has improved tremendously. And that's one thing that we're going to ask of him that's going to help us be better as a defense, according to Aaron Glenn. That was his quote from the last, I think, yesterday when he was in the media availability. Now, Jack had 52 solo tackles last season, 2 sacks, setting him up for a potential breakout season here in 2024 and 2025. Jack Campbell's put on some weight, 6'5", 243 pounds entering the season this year. I'm looking to see, is he going to play this Saturday? I'm not so sure. I don't think he got in last week, right? We had Ben Nyman in the majority of this, so I doubt he's going to get in. But I guess to piggyback off of another topic here, no starters versus the Chiefs. And in talking about Jack Campbell, there is a potential that we could see a couple of more defensive players start against the Chiefs this weekend. Dan Campbell has already stated that there won't be any starters playing this weekend. They flirted with the idea throughout the week, but it sounds like he's made his decision that there won't be any starters, but there could be 2 additional defensive players that get some action. Whether those are considered starters or they're, right on the edge of being right on the bubble of being a starter or 1, 2, I don't know. I don't know who these players are yet that he's talking about, but there's the potential for Jack Campbell to maybe get some action. We'll see what happens there, but Jack is on the rise. I'm expecting a big season for Jack Campbell, and I'm going to throw it out there. This NFC North has got a very difficult linebacker core. On each team is got some amazing linebackers. Matter of fact, I think the Vikings probably did the most in the offseason to really ramp up that, division of their defense. I think that Jack Campbell is going to finish as probably a top 5 linebacker in the NFC North. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm saying overall, so if you take 10 linebackers in the NFC North, he'll be a top 5 for sure. Could even be the best overall linebacker this season. So my floor is top 5. My ceiling for him is that he might be the best linebacker in the NFC North if all things happen for him like we're expecting. Watching him in practice the other day, you can see he's not thinking. He's acting, he's reacting. He's not thinking at all. Last year, I think Jack was in his head quite a bit, and it kind of got him in trouble from time to time. I think everyone remembers the play where Aiden Hutchinson kind of grabbed him and threw him across the other side of the line because he was lined up in the wrong spot. Rookie mistake early in the season. That stuff's going to be gone. Jack has put so much work in off the field and on the field, after practice, before practice. All things being reported, whether it's from the writers or coming out of, Detroit Lions camp themselves, Jack has really taken a stance this year to be the best. He wants to be the best. He's the hardest working guy in the room. And now that he's matched up, with Alex Anzalone for a second season, I see this tandem really growing into something special this year. Our run defense was extremely good last season. It's only going to be better this season. And if Jack has really developed some of his coverage skills like Aaron Glenn has alluded to, sky's the limit for this guy. So watch out for Jack Campbell this year to be the breakout player that we're expecting. I'm expecting it. What do you got to say to that, Eric? What do you think about Jack Campbell this year?
Well, there's 2 things that I think we need to see out of our linebacker play, and that is we need to defend against tight ends over the middle, something that we have never really had in a long, long time, and 2, mobile quarterbacks, because we're going to have Caleb Williams, we're going to have Jordan Love, we're going to see CJ Stroud this year. We're going to see a few mobile quarterbacks. When we get to the playoffs, we're probably going to see a few more. So those are the 2 things I want to see our linebackers get better at, is defending tight ends across the middle and spying on a mobile quarterback. Something I don't know if that's not part of Aaron Glenn's defense or what. Yeah, I don't think he likes to put a spy on a quarterback, but we need to defend those 2 things with our linebacker core. And I think if Jack Campbell can get his stuff together and he can become that Pro Bowl, all-pro type linebacker, then that is what will take us to the next level and get us. So when Hawkinson's coming across the middle, he doesn't catch every single pass thrown his way. We need to have some coverage skills by these linebackers, and seeing that out of Jack Campbell would be absolutely fantastic. I would love it. I would love to see it.
So I'm sending the message out to somebody. Hold on one second. I should have asked somebody to come on this morning. So an article just popped up, and this is kind of funny. Great minds think alike, right? The doc, the great John Macaroon, phenomenal work. The dude puts out great work. And so just 27 minutes ago, while we're on air, article comes out about Jack Campbell. And I find it hilarious, right? So I'm talking Jack Campbell, and John puts out an amazing article. So let's highlight him. Let's highlight John Macaroon this morning. Let's read what he has to say, because he's got a wealth of knowledge. And so here's what he says. Detroit Lions linebacker Jack Campbell is ready to build off of the lessons learned his rookie season. The former first-round pick has been given additional responsibilities in coverage and in rushing the quarterback. Now, that is something that I spoke to earlier in the season. Watching this defense transition, what the Lions were looking at doing with building the interior, rush component, the interior defensive line, and adding more strength there, I expected our linebackers to get a lot more action rushing the quarterback, whereas last season, it seemed like we worked more off the edge, which that's why I think a lot of people were expecting us to go out and get a defensive end in the offseason, is because we had more rush ability off the end. Now that you have a defensive backfield that can support the defensive line and give you more coverage ability over the middle of the defense, which relieves pressure off of the linebackers, you should be able to see Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, all of those guys having an opportunity to rush the quarterback and develop more sacks this year. So largely what I've always felt and believe, and it sounds like Terrell Williams and Aaron Glenn are kind of right in this same mind frame, is that interior pass rush is the way to the quarterback. That is how you break an offense down to allow your defense to work. So you break the middle of the defense or the offense with who? DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Mekhi Wingo, interior, exterior guy that can rush the quarterback from the interior. And that just opens the window for Jack Campbell to have some fun. So I'll go on, but I've been in that same mindset with those guys, that the interior is the most important, backing up the defense with the DBs, allowing more time for these guys to work. So John Macaroon says, with a defense that has added talent along the defensive line and secondary, so he's saying the same thing here, the linebackers unit has the benefit of returning key players for another season, including Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes. In a recent radio appearance on 97.1 The Ticket, Campbell shared what improvements he has made since his rookie season. For the former first-round pick, getting on and off blocks, enhancing his understanding and recognition of route coverages, rushing the quarterback, and playing man-to-man coverage on tight ends and running backs have been a point of emphasis. Next paragraph, he talks about Lion star players shine in final opening of training camp practice. Here's what he had to quote here for Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell says, "I just feel like this is the offseason. I've just worked a lot just on when I take on blocks. I like getting on and off the block instead of trying to press out, play two gaps. I came from Iowa. Our identity was go hit someone. You play two gaps here and in the NFL too. If you try to do that, offensive linemen are so good. They're just going to hold you. Getting on and off blocks is something I've been trying to improve on. Also, just seeing route concepts as they happen in zone coverage. I feel like I've been trying to progress in that. Also, rushing the passer, one-on-one with backs. I've been trying to get better at that. So he explained further that man-to-man coverage on tight ends and running backs, I feel like that's an area that I need to improve on. It's slowly but surely. There's no big step to success in any of those areas. I'm just going to keep working towards what I need to do to be a good all-around player. So all great insights from Jack Campbell here. And I think if you kind of break this down piece by piece, excuse me, what he's saying here is when you're playing two gaps in the NFL, that linemen are just going to hold you, right? They're smart enough, they're big, they're savvy enough that they're just going to try to slow you down by holding you. So if he's not going to try to penetrate two gaps or play with two gaps, we run a gap and a half scheme anyway. So essentially he's kind of playing two gaps, right? Linebackers a little bit different schematically in what they're doing, behind the defensive line, whereas the defensive line is playing that gap and a half scheme. I think that, by him being more, how do I put it? Aware of what gap to rush in allowing the play to develop a little bit, Jack's not going to have to worry about playing two gaps. He can pick his spot and fire. Zone coverage, so now he's understanding and recognizing what these route concepts are pre-snap. And that allows him to be, more judgmental as to where, the route's going to end up on a certain play, where that wide receiver or tight end or even the running back should end up on a certain play to help him kind of stay in position. And quite honestly, look, Jack's got hands. The guy can intercept the ball. So expect him to do a little shading here. Try to stay hidden, try to surprise the quarterback and come up with an interception. Now, he did have an interception, I believe, yesterday on Jared Goff. So I think it was yesterday. It could have been the day before or the day before that, but he did have an interception off Jared Goff this week, is my understanding.
Yeah. Aaron Glenn had his little press conference talking about Jack Campbell and how good he's going to be, and then he went out and picked off Goff right away.
That's awesome. So then in John Macroon's article here, it says matchup against Detroit's defense. He says, for any members of the Lions defense, matchup daily against Detroit's offense has provided opportunities for growth. As Ben Johnson's offense is intricate and chock full of skill players. Again, another quote by, I think this was Jack Campbell. It could be Dan Campbell. We got too many Campbells going on here. It says, you get to go up against the best, which is something that as a defense we appreciate, said Campbell. Just not only like that in the pass game, but also the run game. You got probably a top offensive line. He said you got probably a top offensive line. Jack, that's not going to go over well in the locker room, buddy. You got to say we have the best offensive line in the NFL. Not probably. And he said that, not probably. I'm just giving him some crap. They're the top offensive line in the NFL. So he did correct himself. And then you got two of the best backs in the NFL, in my opinion. I feel like those guys are just unbelievable. When you go to the pass, going up against Sam Laporta, I mean, he's a receiver pretty much. He can block, but he's a receiver. And he is a damn good one. He's an awesome guy. So it's been good to go against him. And then obviously, Jared Goff has been in the league for a long time and has seen a lot of football. So getting to go against him has been awesome too. Look, Jack's going to have a season, man. This guy, I expect the most out of Jack Campbell this year. I really do. I don't see sophomore slumps for him. I think that he's really going to blow up and have an amazing season. I just hope he can stay healthy and not lose confidence. And I don't think that Jack is a guy that really loses confidence. I think that he takes whatever he did bad, or if he had a bad moment in a game or, boneheaded decision, I think he learns from those quicker than most. I think he utilizes that stuff as fuel and it doesn't, really get him down. I think, that just tells him to go spend more time watching tape. Or more time before and after practice. Like, when we were out of practice the other day, Eric, who was out there hitting the sled after practice?
Yep. Jack Campbell.
And what was he? He was working on hand placement. So
You could hear it from the other side of the field.
yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah.
So what's the chat think? Well, all right, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. What does the chat think about Jack Campbell here this morning?
We're talking about split pea and ham soup, making me all hungry.
We're still talking about food here. What's going on here? Are you guys watching football, or are we watching?
Now they're talking about vegetable and beef. I mean,
cooking shows.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to ban Chef Talks Lions if he's the one bringing all this food crap in here.
Oh crap!
Let's migrate this to football. Yeah. All right. So what are we talking? Makes me feel like maybe we're not doing a good enough job. You know, maybe we should just end the show for the day. And
they're talking about Campbell soup. That's what it is. Yeah, Dan Campbell and his kneecap soup.
Oh, we could just play ads all day. Do you think that they would know?
Talking recipes.
All right, let's move on to the next roster topic. What do we got? What do we got for the rest of the day? Injury update. Let's talk about injury update. Let me get into some of this here. Where are my notes on the injury update? In a nutshell, since I can't find my notes for some reason, I had some websites open that gave me a nice little glimpse of injury updates. Terry and Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, same thing we kind of reported yesterday. Terry and Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, Jameer Gibbs, all going to be fine. No one's expected right now to miss any major time, especially regular season time. So all three guys should be okay, which is good. I mean, we had some scares, right? I mean, there was a lot of panic that ensued over the last few days, and I think that we just need to slow our roll a little bit. I think we'll be all right. Especially when you hear that from Dan Campbell. I know he's not going to give us everything, that we want to know or hear, but I think that we're going to be all right. The one thing that I am hearing, though, and this has not been reported by anyone yet, I'm not going to say, I haven't really heard this from a local beat writer or anything like that. My own source is telling me that Mahogany could potentially be NFI'd the majority of the season. The rumor is, unless he can get back to playing health sooner rather than later and back on the field, that the Lions probably won't have a choice. They don't want to lose a roster spot, number one. And number two, he had a lot of time off. So he's missed an entire camp. For a rookie, that is extremely important. I mean, we've seen what has happened with players like Jameson Williams missing time. That derailed him a little bit, right? He had to play a lot of catch up. It's a little different being a wide receiver, having to earn your stripes with your quarterback and your offensive coordinator. But an offensive lineman, man, that is an extremely important position. Very difficult position to learn, all the key blocks and things that you have to know, all the different alignments that you have to be aware of, and the defensive alignments that you have to be aware of. Now, he's not really calling out, plays, like Frank Ragnow is, but it sounds like there's the potential that Mahogany could be NFI'd. Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to be NFI'd the entire season. Could be the majority of the season until the either Lions really need him or don't, right? I don't think they're going to try to toll his contract like happened last year with Hendon Hooker. They brought Hendon back the last 6 weeks of the season, so his contract was not tolled, for another year, which basically means the Lions earn another year of eligibility under his contract. So not good development for Mahogany so far. Haven't heard a whole lot. Maybe we'll see some things coming out from some writers over the next couple of days. Expect it to be, a 2-3 week thing here. It's going to lead into the regular season, from what I understand, before they really get an idea of where Mahogany is. We could see him back in practice next week. We may not. So it's all rumors right now. It's all speculation. But that's what I'm hearing from my little birdie that likes to give me some information every once in a while. No starters versus the Chiefs. We've already spoken about that. Let's get into Wingo. What's your first impression of Mekhi Wingo so far this year?
Well, like you've said before, with the Hive defense, he's the guy that's the glue right now with this second team defense. So he's the guy that's around the ball on every single play. He's not necessarily hitting the stat sheet with the sacks and the tackles or the tackles for loss, but he's right in there in the scrum, pushing his guy into the quarterback, making sure that no one's getting on the outside. He's keeping contained, and he's helping keep things in the middle where they need to be, and nobody's running off. There was only the one bad play with the real long run last week when he was on the field, but other than that, he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, so let me wind back to injuries real quick. I finally found my notes. Dan Campbell on the Lions injuries. I think we're going to be fine. Dan Campbell said he thinks the team will be fine despite the injuries to several players this week. And this was spoken on Costa and Jansen on 97.1 The Ticket on Wednesday morning. Dan Campbell is not due for any press conferences until game time, or either pre or post game on Saturday. So he was talking about injuries to Jahmyr Gibbs, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. And he said his phone was blowing up, which, I mean, I would expect anyway. But he says, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're all good. So nothing to worry about there. The reports kind of were in line with Ian Rappaport, what Ian was saying about Terrion Arnold. So I think we're good. Sorry about that. So Mekhi Wingo, yeah, look, he is a glue guy for the second team. Now, he was like the lowest graded player in that preseason game. Even, James Houston, I think graded out as a 28. So I think Mekhi was either the first or second worst graded player of the game. That doesn't mean that he didn't have bright spots. Doesn't mean that, he didn't learn something. Doesn't mean that he didn't have a few good plays, but he had a bad game. He had his welcome to the NFL moment. He was a little bit of a fish out of water, right? He was flailing around a little bit. But what you then saw, the next couple of practices is a guy that learns from his mistakes, and someone that, is smart enough to make the adjustments. And when I found this article, again, by your number one, writer, John McAroon for Detroit Lions News, I'm telling you, the guy does it. Article says, Lions know Mekhi Wingo will succeed. He can be a CEO of a company. When I saw that headline, I'm like, what are we talking about here? I didn't know if Mekhi was involved in something, off the field already, but it made sense because it goes into the LSU days and wearing number 18 and what that really means. We highlighted that in the offseason, right? Talking about Mekhi Wingo and how important number 18 is to LSU. So, again, we'll highlight this article by John McAroon where he says, after the preseason game against the New York Giants, the Detroit Lions defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo was not particularly happy. Every rookie dreams of performing well their first time stepping foot on an NFL field for a game. For the 6th round pick, the game did not go as planned, as he felt he could have contributed more and played even better than he did. Now, against the Giants, Wingo was the second lowest graded player on the Lions defense. Of course, by Pro Football Focus, which we all know PFF's got its own problems, but he had a 28.3 mark. Only James Houston was lower with a 28. Now, the veterans on the roster let him know, him being Wingo, that the preseason was a place to make these mistakes and that his next mission was to have a good week of practice ahead of the Chiefs game. Wingo, who's been learning from Lee McNeil and, of course, others along the defensive line, has been working on his fundamentals since camp arrived and has been seen making steady improvements. Now, Aaron Glenn said that he's going to succeed. That's just who he is. Direct quote from Aaron Glenn. And here's another quote from Aaron Glenn. He says, I don't want to say pleasant surprise, but for a man his size to be able to go out there and battle, be able to take on double teams, have the quickness to win as a 3 technique, he has been very good for us, and he's going to be a good player in this league. And I don't know if you guys know it, but when you wear that number 18 at LSU, that means a lot. You see that personality come out of that player. He has leadership skills for a rookie that you hardly ever see. The work ethic that he has, for him to change a technique and go out there and execute it exactly the way the defensive line coach wants him to do it, you see that in him. When I look at Wingo, this is what I think. It doesn't matter what he does in life. He's gonna succeed. He can be the CEO of a company. He can be a big-time football player, It doesn't matter. He's going to be successful. That's a huge statement. A huge statement. And I don't know if many really grasp, what Aaron Glenn is saying here. But, Williams also followed this up with saying that he's, quote, just a smart guy who understands football and understands who he is as a football player. So, smart guy. We need smart guys, don't we, Eric? We need smart guys on the defensive line. We need smart guys that can understand a complex scheme. We need smart guys that can adapt and change and understand the nuances of the scheme and the defense. And someone that accepts responsibility for what they've done and then go ahead and make those improvements and work on it the next, very next day in practice. So I'm expecting a lot out of Wingo. I think that he's going to be a phenomenal addition to this team over time. He's already shown the leadership qualities. Just like Aaron Glenn said, you hardly ever see that out of a rookie. And that is going to blend very nicely into what is now becoming a veteran group in, along that defensive line with the addition of DJ Reader. Aiden Hutchinson, entering his third season, and Ali McNeil entering his, fourth season, right? So, very interesting for the Lions defensive line and where it's, I think it's transgressing, where we're moving to as a team. I feel like we are setting up to have a really good run here in Detroit. And the defensive line is going to be a catalyst. I think that they're going to be a very important piece to how this team performs this year. So, Eric, what are your comments on Mekhi Wingo? And does the chat feel that Mekhi Wingo is going to be a dog this year? Because I think that we're going to see a lot more out of Wingo than what we're anticipating.
There's a reason that Brad Holmes drafted this kid. He sees, I don't want to say a poor man's Aaron Donald, but he sees something about him that reminds him of Aaron Donald in that vein of things, where he has the body composition and he plays a style of football that will fit very well into our defense. And going from college to the pros is a huge, giant leap. It's not this super easy, you're just going to get it in one day. It takes time to develop into a professional player. You're learning everything. So I say give this kid a year or two, and he may be an absolute steal where we got him in the 6th round. And he may end up being a very, very good player for the Detroit Lions.
So you said a few things there. One, I love the moniker, the poor man's Aaron Donald. Like I think that's a big hype to live up to for Wingo, right? Being in the shadow of Aaron Donald's size, right? I think that's what you're talking about here. Is Wingo and Donald are very similar in size and athletic ability coming out of college. Obviously, Wingo has a long way to go to be mentioned in the same sentence of Aaron Donald. But
yes,
if anyone could be extremely successful in this league that was taken late in a round, I think that Wingo is going to really be a surprise for some people that we're not expecting much out of the kid. I have only seen nothing but good things from him so far. Now, a couple of questions from the chat here. This is a great question here. And yes, Bo Booth says development is key. We'll talk about McNeil's extension. Haven't heard anything there, but we'll come back to that. But here's a question by Peter Van Larhoven. If Wingo balls out, does that change what we do with McNeil? Here's my quick answer. No, I don't think it changes anything. I think that you want to keep McNeil around no matter what. I mean, the guy's he's been great, growing year after year, getting better year after year. As long as he's not asking for $30 million, yeah, you got to keep him. If he's anywhere close to $20 million, I think he's well worth it. Last year, he was like a top 10 defensive tackle for most of the season. And then after his injury, I think those numbers kind of slid a little bit. But McNeil can be a top 10 DT in this league. And he's shown that he has the ability. He's shown that he has the character. He's exactly what you want on this team from a leadership standpoint. But Wingo would only accentuate what Aleem McNeil can do. Having a guy that can play inside and outside, that gives us positional, flex. So I think Wingo's going to be a strong addition to this line no matter where you place him, no matter how you play him. eventually he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And the reason why I say that is back to Bo Booth's comment here on development. Look at Broderick Martin. Now, I understand it's just one preseason game. But if you look at what last year was for Broderick Martin, a guy that was getting pushed around all over the field, and the very next season, he is heads and shoulders above where he was and showed extreme violence in the short game there in preseason week 1. His hand placement, his hand fighting, his technique, his pad level, everything totally changed. And a lot of that is just technique. Broderick already had the size. He just needed to learn the technique. And then he needed to get more firm in his footing. He needed to drop a few pounds. He needed to build his lower body, and he still does. Broderick is going to be, dare I say, by year 4, could be a top 20 defensive tackle in this league. Just saying. I think he could be. As long as he continues to build out that lower body. We need to see tree trunks for legs, by year 4. He needs to build those legs out, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with for sure. But I see that same trajectory for Wingo, right? By year 2, if he takes a leap like Jack Campbell, if he takes a leap like Broderick Martin, Wingo's going to be a beast. He's going to be someone that's going to be very difficult to stop, and someone that you could throw, inside, outside, that is going to give offenses nightmares because you don't know where he's going to be coming from. And matching that up with Aleem McNeil all day long, Aleem is another force to be reckoned with in the middle of this defense that can get to the passer. So it's going to be fun to watch. That's all I can say. It's going to be extremely fun to watch these guys grow together. Chef Talks Lion says he would have to ball out for McNeil to be gone, though. And yeah, I agree with that. He's not going anywhere. Terrell Williams has been instrumental for this defense. Like, these guys are totally in love with this dude. The knowledge that he's brought to the game for these guys, I don't know if he's simplified it or if he's made it more complex yet. I don't know. I don't know, what we're really looking at here. But I think that Terrell Williams is, there you go, Bo Booth. Terrell Williams is the truth. He is, man. The dude he's revolutionizing this defense right now. We haven't even seen it yet. We're only hearing about it. We're only seeing it in practice, right? Wait till the game comes. Wait till we see these guys on the field. Now, tonight, a little update. Tonight will be off the cuff. We'll be doing the pregame breakdown, talking about talking about the Chiefs and the Lions tonight, what to expect this weekend in the game. Of course, we'll be doing the game live right here on Rocked On Podcast Network, Rocked On Detroit Lions. We'll be doing a full game breakdown live, full game commentary, conversations, man. Conversations at football, that's what it's all about. What do you think, Eric? What do you think about Wingo moving forward?
Listen, there's something that not a lot of people are talking about right now, and that is Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson in camp is destroying everyone in front of him. So he's even getting the best of Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, whoever they put in front of him, he's getting the best of them right now. And for Wingo to have someone like that next to him, and then you plant DJ Reader on the other side of him for when he's giving Aleem McNeil a breather, man, the kid could have some success. It's a lot about to do the situation you're put in, not just your individual performance. If Wingo is out there with 3 other guys that aren't that great, maybe he has to pick up more of the slack. But when he's out there with 3 really great defensive linemen, man, watch out. It makes his job that much easier. Maybe he's got a single team instead of a double team to take care of. And they've been saying that Wingo is really good with the double team so far in camp.
Yeah. Fighting through double teams early as a rookie, that's tough, man. That takes some balls. And it shows, that the game's not too big for him. He's going to take on the challenge. What is going on today with Canva, but it is just causing me all sorts of problems today. Not fun. I'm trying to get back to my original roster, and it just won't do it. Something's not right. All right, so let's get to the GOAT here. Let's talk about some Barry Sanders for a minute.
Heck yeah.
All right, so Barry Sanders met with Lions media, and I put this on Twitter the other day. Man, did Barry not look like great shape? I mean, the guy has clearly lost some pounds. I dare say 20, maybe more. I don't know the number, but just looking at where he is now and where he was before when he had that I think alleged heart incident or heart scare, health scare. We'll just go with that. Looks like he's lost some pounds. He's maybe, had to do a few things, but he made his first public appearance back with the media. And here's kind of what he's stated about the Lions hype, the Lions offense, and where it's going and what he feels this team needs to do to stay relevant. Let's see, who wrote this one? John Macroon's on fire, man. Another John Macroon article this morning. So Barry Sanders, Lions must understand they are a target. They are, right? We are the hunted. We're always going to be hunting, but we are the hunted now. So article goes on to say that after the recent health scare from former Detroit Lions running back Barry Sanders made his first public appearance at training camp this past Monday, and he wanted to talk about, or at least he was asked some questions anyway, but he also wanted to talk about managing expectations in 2024, what the keys are for Jahmyr Gibbs, in his reaction to the Calvin Johnson being named to the Pride of the Lions this fall. So he first started in about the hype. So there's just a lot of hype. This is a quote. There's a lot of hype and just conversation. So it's really just about these very important, significant days of camp where you're working on all your stuff and really perfecting who you are going to be. Establishing your identity going forward. For us fans, he considers himself a fan, we can really continue to harp on last year and all that stuff. But for these guys, it's about going forward and being focused and understanding that they are a target. These are like the most important days because they're just mundane days of summer camp. But you are really taking strides in who you are going to be this season, how you are going to compete. So it's important. But then Sanders also noted the offense is just chock full of weapons at several key positions, which should keep defenses on their heels. Now, this is what he had to say about the offense last season and kind of where he's expecting it to move forward this season. Great statement here. He says, I'll have to see sort of the continuation of last year. Just the great balance we had. I think we had defenses on their heels last year. In a lot of ways, we were maybe a step ahead of the game. They didn't know where we were coming from. So I would say that the great balance, and then obviously they have elite skill all over the place. Up front, receivers, the tight end, had a great year. Obviously, Jared Goff, the running backs, they've got a good thing going. Clearly, Barry Sanders feels that this offense can be dynamic again. Now, he didn't go and say the word dynamic, but you can tell that he understands this offense is different. It is made up of elite players, like he stated, all over the place. And then he had this other quote. He said, I think understanding that, he can enjoy what he did last year, and this was talking about Jahmyr Gibbs. But now there's film on him. So people have had a chance to really get a good offseason to see what kind of player he is in this scheme. Again, speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs. And so it's not going to get any easier. So I think just understanding that it's going to be more challenging and more difficult, but I'm sure he's up for it. So a few good statements here about the Lions. It's going to be more difficult for Jahmyr Gibbs because there's tape, right? We're the hunted. We are hunting, but we are the hunted. People are going to be looking to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think that's where Ben Johnson is going to have to take this offense to the next level, right? How are you going to put Jahmyr Gibbs in space? What is the one thing we didn't do last year, Eric, that we didn't see enough of?
We didn't put him out as a receiver.
Right.
It just didn't happen last year. Like they were hyping it up all preseason that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to be this X tool that they were going to use to put all over the line and use him as a receiver, and it hardly happened. He only had 52 catches, and a lot of those were out of the backfield and not out as a receiver.
Well, I mean, it's still, it's still a reception, right? But I think what you're speaking to is we wanted to see more of Gibbs lined up in the slot
with David Montgomery out as the running back. Yes.
Yeah. Or some sort of a lineup, but at a minimum, we wanted to see Jahmyr Gibbs lined up in the slot, doing some things that, were going to help this team win. And I, for whatever reason, we didn't see enough of it. Now he had 52 receptions last year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy number. Only 316 yards. A 6.1 average, which I think it kind of tells you that a lot of those were just short dump passes.
Yep.
He had a long of 24, which I'm sure he took out of the backfield or just off the flat for a long gain. But he is so dynamic and explosive in short area. If he's in space and he has any sort of space around the defenders, very difficult to bring down. Makes a quick move or two, and he can be beyond anybody in a heartbeat. That's why a lot of people say he's electric. He's the electrician, like Chef likes to call him. But here we go. Jahmyr Gibbs, what is he going to be able to do this season? Like I was alluding to, he didn't get enough of, slot play or lined up anywhere. I mean, you could probably line him up out wide for all I know. And that would be extremely fun to watch, if he's able to, catch downfield passes. But are we going to see him line up in the slot this season and be that other threat that we're looking for in the receiving core? I think the answer is yes. I feel like this 316 yards could potentially be 600 yards this year. May not have more than 50 or 60 receptions. I just think we're going to see deeper passes, longer passes, more opportunity for Jahmyr Gibbs this year. So yeah, things are going to change. So then how do you change, with the tide here? If you're going to combat a defense that is now looking to stop him in the run game, now you got to throw that wrench in it. You start swinging Jahmyr Gibbs out. You go empty set. You bring a tight end back, as a running back. You could, think about it. If you have Brock Wright, if you have Sam Laporta in the game, and you have Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. And that's what this whiteboard is going to be used for. Once I get the new camera set up today, we should be able to use the whiteboard tonight, I hope. And I'll draw this play up. But, you go in motion, you swing Gibbs out, you bring Brock Wright back. He's now protecting your quarterback as an H-back. They don't know if they're going to hand the ball off to Brock. Or Parker Heese, who lined up in the H-back position 8 times last week in the preseason game. He could take a handoff. So they don't know. They're still going to have to protect that spot as a defense. But now you have Jahmyr Gibbs out in the slot, and then you got Amon-Ra on the other side, and you got Jamison out wide. And then you got Sam Laporta on the inside. Who the hell is going to stop that? Nobody. No one's going to be able to stop that. That's how you keep a defense on its heels. We'll see what happens. Anything else you want to add to Barry Sanders here and the Lions being the targets of 2024?
I really think that the Lions are the hunted, and our good old friend Broski Bear is in the comments saying that just because we won the NFC North one time doesn't make us the hunted. Well, yes, it does. When you are the champion, you are the hunted. I'm sorry it's not bear hunting season right now. It's lion hunting season. So you're going to have to go get your license if you want to go hunting, Broski Bear, and you're going to have to wait in line just like everybody else. And it'll be bear season soon enough. We're coming for you, so don't worry about that. Don't worry, Broski Bear. The Lions are going to destroy the Bears this year. Twice, not once.
So they have not sold bear tags in the NFC North since 19?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, Bears haven't been hunted in a very long time.
So, yeah, it hasn't been bear season at least since 20. Because I think they won the NFC North in 2018.
Yep.
So that would have meant that they were the hunted then in 2019. So,
so I think everybody filled their tags in 2019 because I don't remember the Bears doing anything in that year.
I don't remember anything then either. But they were 12-4 in 2018.
Yeah.
13-3 in 2017 was the Vikings. The Green Bay Packers were 10-6 in 16. Yeah, I don't remember the last time before that though. When's the last time before that the Bears won the North?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Looking here. Looking. Here we go. All right, so the Bears won it in 2018. And then they won it in 2010. And then 2006, 2005. So they won it 4 times.
Yeah, since 2000.
Yeah, 4 times in 31 years, 31 seasons. Or whatever. That's it. So, yeah, it's not like we have a whole lot to say here being Lions fans. I mean, we won it once.
Yep.
So, it's not like we're, better than anybody else. I mean, we still have a long way to go ourselves. But, broski, what we're saying when we're the hunted is what everybody in the NFL is saying about the Lions. It's not just me. It's not just Eric. It's not just this chat. Literally, everybody in the NFL is saying the Lions are the team that is hunted this year. Because now there's tape. No one expected us to do what we did last season, and now they have to worry about the Lions because we got better. So, and we'll be back this year. It's going to be a fun season.
I just put out a map on my Facebook this morning, and it shows the United States, and it has all the states color-coded for who the fans of those states thinks is going to win the Super Bowl this year. And of course, the Midwest is Lions, and then the whole East Coast in Florida is all Lions. And I thought that was very, very telling that a lot of the states with the most population are thinking that the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, last year I called it all year. I said that 2024 was the year. No one believed me when I said that we are half a season away. No one, people didn't understand it. And the reason why we are half a season away is I said we needed one more draft. When you look at what Brad Holmes has been able to do since he's been, the GM of this team, he needed 4 seasons, 4 drafts to totally change the dynamic of this roster. That would give him enough draft picks to literally put a new offense and a new defense on the field. Now, he didn't do it that way. He didn't select every position, to put all new starters on both sides of the ball. What he did was filter in, the starters that we needed, the impact players that we needed, with players that could be additions down the road. So the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th round draft picks that didn't hit right away, that you don't really expect to hit right away. We had a few that did. Amon-Ra St. Brown obviously being one of them, and plenty of others. Ali McNeil being another one. Levi Onwuzurike, this season is now finally stepping out and becoming an impact player as long as he can stay healthy. So what Brad Holmes was able to do, I felt he just needed that extra season to finally get us a DB room. And once we had a DB room assembled, we were going to be well on our way. This is the season for me. I think the 2024 is the year. I've been calling it. And I hope that we get there. So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Broski today, but I will say this, just saying that someone's an 18th overall pick and they should be up to speed by now. That's just a baseless claim.
Yeah. I like the other one.
That makes no sense to me.
Somebody said, well, how did Justin Fields, your first round pick, perform for your Bears?
Yeah.
Well, you traded him for a bag of magic beans and a coffee.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he worked out so well.
And now Justin Fields is taking reps as wide receiver for the Steelers because he sucked so bad in the opening preseason game.
Yeah.
So,
God.
All right, let's get to the depth chart. Eric, if you want to walk us through the depth chart this morning. What do we got coming up for this Saturday's game with our what should be I guess your second tier players should be starting this weekend, right? We're not having any starters. So who's our second and third options on the depth chart?
All right. So at wide receiver, we have listed it as our starters, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra, but those two we are not going to see. So we're going to see a heavy dose of Darius Fountain and Tom Kennedy as our backups. And then their backup is Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then Isaiah Williams, and then finally Caden Davis. And
So-
Caden Davis, I've been hearing, has been having really good days in camp lately.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention something here on the receivers. So DPJ, after the game, he's been playing pretty well this week too. He started to step out a little bit this week. You know, look, Dan Campbell is stressed it to these guys. Hey, who's going to show up? Who's ready to break out? You know, are you guys going to finally show up in camp and tell us who we need to keep on this team? Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think he had one nice catch in the game, in the preseason game. And, you know, when everybody got home, he started putting the work in. So DPJ is on his way back. I think that DPJ is now finally back into the running for, you know, a top 5 candidate on this team. But Isaiah Williams right now is a lock on this roster for me. Just going to leave it at that until I see the preseason game. He's a lock on this roster for me right now. I don't know where everyone else is going to sit yet, but Isaiah Williams right now is a lock for me. All right, who do we got next on the offensive line that should be playing this weekend?
All right. So at the tackle position, we have Taylor Decker with his backup being Dan Skipper and Giovanni Manu. And I think we are going to see a huge dose of Giovanni Manu because he needs reps. And then let's see, at guard, we have Graham Glasgow at left guard with Owasika and then Duke Clemens. Yeah, you're probably going to see both of those a whole bunch. On right guard, we have Kevin Zietler. You're not going to see him in the game. We're going to see a big dose of Jake Burton, and Christian Mahogany is listed as the third right guard, but I do not see Christian Mahogany playing in this game. He hasn't even been cleared for practice yet. So why he's on this list, I don't know yet. And then for right tackle, we have Penei Sewell, which we will not see, with Corby Sorsdahl as the backup. And then our new tackle, Jamarco Jones. So you might be seeing a lot of Corby Sorsdahl and Jamarco Jones to see what he has. He's going
Okay, so sorry.
Ooh.
It always happens when I take my headphones off for some reason. So on the offensive line, look, Dan Skipper's not going anywhere. He's making this team. Aosika's making this team. And Kobe Sorsdahl's making this team. So I think that the interesting fight this weekend, or the battle this weekend, is going to be, you know, are the Lions really looking to make a push for a backup center as opposed to Graham Glasgow? Now, I thought about it over the last couple of days. I think we're going to see a center backing up Frank Ragnow this year. And I say that because I think that they're going to try to groom one, expecting Frank Ragnow not to retire after the season no matter what happens. That would just be a guess. Let's just say he doesn't retire. I think the Lions, you know, out of the 3 that they have, Michael Neese, Kingsley, and Hudson, I think out of those 3, they probably like one of them that they want to keep around that can play guard and can play center in a pinch. So I am now in the boat that I think that we're going to keep an extra center, even knowing the fact that Graham Glasgow can play center and probably would be our number 1 center after Frank Ragnow if Frank had to come out. So, Jamarco Jones, I'll be honest, I don't know jack squat about anything with this guy.
Nope.
Duke Clemens, I still have not really researched a whole lot. Giovanni Manu, last week looked bad. Looked pretty bad. Fish out of water. Just a behemoth of a man, though. My goodness. His legs looked shaky, I guess is a way to put it. He did not look comfortable in what he was trying to do. And I think the one thing that we have to look at, like, so if you're going to evaluate him, compare him to anybody else. I mean, he's so big that it's hard to compare him to other players unless you're comparing size for size. So, go look at Joe Alt, right? Go watch some tape of Joe Alt this year and then compare that to Manu and see if you see any of this, similarities there with his leg work, because like his first step back, it didn't look like a hard, step back, where he was anchoring and planting. It was almost like he was shuffling, short shuffles. And that's a good way to get off balance and to get pushed off the line, and then you're in trouble. So I want to see Manu's technique get better this week. I hope it does, because I was not impressed. Even though I have all the faith in the world that he's going to be fine, not impressed by his first week. And I'm not being mean, Giovanni. I'm just looking at the tape. There's room for improvement. Let's just put it that way. What do we got next? Tight ends?
Let's see. Tight ends. We have Sam Laporta as the starter, and then Brock Wright in second. And then we have Shane Zylstra, Parker Heese, James Mitchell, and Sean McKeon. And those last four that I mentioned, Shane Zylstra, Parker Heese, James Mitchell, and Sean McKeon, those four players are vying for one spot on the roster.
Yeah, potentially two spots here. Shouldn't see Sam Laporta, obviously. He's dealing with a hammy right now as well. Brock Wright should not get any playing time this week. At least that's what we're expecting. I can't remember if he got in any snaps last week.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm just trying to take a look here real quick. Brock Wright did not play last week, so. Okay. As far as the tight ends go, look, they're definitely going to keep three. James Mitchell and Sean McKeon, the bottom two. I think that's intentional. Shane Zylstra and Parker Hess. I really like Parker. He's a different dude. He's a different style. I look at him as like a giant linebacker. I mean, he's just an interesting guy. Has some good experience too. So I like what he's able to bring to the table. He made a really nice catch ball that was behind him, and then, lowered his shoulder and just trucked the guy. So I like the fact that, he can take, H-back snaps, look totally comfortable, hell of a blocker. You're going to make this team, one of two ways. You're either, a great blocker that can also catch, or you're a great blocker that can play special teams. And I think that he does all three of those, above average. He's not an elite pass catcher. He's not someone that's going to give us a ton of yards, but he is someone that can be consistent for a first down here or there, that wild card that you're just not expecting. So I know you think that we're going to keep three. I've kind of been tossing it back and forth. Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it, I think the next two games are really going to show us, who's more important, especially when we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, right? I mean, if there's opportunity for this guy to swing out and they want to have someone back there to protect and then also have a threat on the line, Parker Hess as an H-back is great. Like that's a great option for this offense. Wide receivers. You already spoke about wide receivers, did you not?
Yep, we did.
Well, I don't think we got into Maurice Alexander, Traquan Smith, or Jalon Calhoun. I thought Maurice was cut. Clearly, he's not. He must still be on the squad.
Yep, Maurice Alexander is still here. He's listed as our, let's see, special teams. Oh, he was. Now I don't see him. He was listed as a returner, but now I don't see him on this list.
Well, he's in as wide receiver 2 right now behind Khalif Raymond. So he would be the 6th wide receiver on the list. So you have Jamison Williams, Monroe St. Brown, Khalif Raymond is 1, 2, 3.
There, I see him.
Yeah, Darius Fountain, Tom Kennedy, Maurice Alexander. Now, the depth chart is meaningless to a degree because I think that, a lot of these players are just going to be getting action. I got to take this call. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, never mind. I'm supposed to have someone coming out to the house. The thing about Maurice Alexander, he had a really tough week last week. Really tough. Dropping balls, right? Didn't look confident back there at all. We've got to see him take another step forward. I want to see that he can become, something with this offense. But special teams is his path. And I just don't have any confidence in Maurice Alexander. To be quite honest with you, Isaiah Williams, there's got to be a way this guy can get back there and take some punt and kickoff returns and do something with the ball. If he's not doing anything in special teams, that's not going to bode well for him to try to make the roster. But I do believe that right now the Lions with Jamison Williams, Darius Fountain, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Khalif Raymond, I think that those four are locked. And I think that Isaiah Williams could be locked. And Donovan Peoples-Jones will make this team. But that would leave us with 6 wide receivers. And the Lions typically don't keep 6. So it's a little nerve-wracking when you get past the third wide receiver on this team. It's really tough to figure out. All right, running backs. What do we got next?
All right. Well, the good thing about the wide receivers, we got a week or two to figure this out before the season starts.
Yeah.
Let's see. Running backs. We have David Montgomery, backed up by Jahmyr Gibbs and Zonovan Knight. And then the next string is Craig Reynolds with Jamar Jefferson, and then Sion Vaki and Jake Funk.
Interesting. So we're going to see a dose of Zonovan Knight, then Craig Reynolds, and then Jamar Jefferson. Why would they put Sion Vaki? Oh, no. Sion Vaki is the 4th running back right now. So it's David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds, Sion Vaki, then Zonovan Knight, Jamar Jefferson, Jake Funk, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the way it goes.
I think they're going top and then bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I could make a recommendation, Detroit Lions, could you get us a better roster depth chart? Like with some numbers and, like player numbers and maybe it's, 1, 2, squad 1, squad 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be great. Some other teams, I think, do that.
Ooh, we hit 70 likes today.
Hey, there we go. 70 likes. They must be liking a little bit of what they're hearing today.
Let's get to 100.
We will today. It'll happen once the show ends. Appreciate you guys for doing that. That's all we ask for. Just smash that like button. Help the stream get up there. We're going to have a ton of fun. And if you haven't subscribed yet, look, we're only like 100 or so away from giving away another mini helmet. Now, this is not one that I'm giving away, but, you asked Trace or Jeremy Ballrick from Kneecap Biting. They won some mini helmets and regular helmets, this past weekend. But Trace, who was the first winner of the mini helmet that I did at 5,000?
Michael Garrity, wasn't it?
It was Michael Garrity, I think. So he got his helmet. But anyway, we give away, stuff like this that are signed by Panay Sewell or signed by Chris Spielman. And, those things are worth like $150. We're the only channel that's giving away thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts every year. This is the channel to be. This is the place to be, but you got to be in here live to be able to win things and, help support us that way. That'd be great just by getting in the channel and watching the shows, watching the content as much as you can. We certainly appreciate it. And we appreciate it so much that we want to put cool little gifts like this into your memorabilia closet so that you can have things on the shelf during the season for your Lions. All right. So look, I expect a lot out of Sion Vaki this weekend again. I think we're going to see a lot of him. I really do. We might even see him back, potentially returning the kick or two. I don't know.
That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
He had a little bit of electricity to him. So when he did get in the game, what did he have? An 8-yard run, 9-yard run?
Yeah.
Really exciting to see. where everybody else was just running up to the line and falling over. This kid was actually busting through the line, getting a few yards and making something happen. And he was out there with third, fourth, fifth string guys. So it'll be exciting. Hopefully they get him out there with the second stringers, or what's considered first string, for the preseason game this week.
Yeah, he's the only one that stepped on the field that really did anything. He was the leading rusher. But then I think Hendon Hooker kind of took it over, didn't he? I think he ended up with the most rush yards. All right, defense. We'll start off with the edge. Now you got both sides here. So you got Marcus Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson at 1 and 2. Who's behind them?
We have Josh Paschal, Isaac Ukwu, and then they even have John Comiskey still listed on here, but he's on IR.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. But that's who they have. And then Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, Mitchell Agude, and Matu Betts.
So, yeah, every depth chart we see seems to be a little bit different. Like, there's players that are still on this depth chart and roster for the Detroit Lions, like Malik Jefferson's still on here.
Yeah.
David Botta's still on here. I mean, you would think that they have a ton of people that can update these things. So let me switch here. Let me get to CBS Sports Lions. All right, here we go. So in here you have at defensive end on the left side of the ball, James Houston as your second, Mitchell Agude as your third, Matu Betts as your third, and Nate Lynn, obviously he's injured. Marcus Davenport as your second on the right side, second to Aiden Hutchinson. Josh Paschal as your second tier behind Marcus Davenport on the right side, and Isaac Ukwu as your third option. John Comiskey obviously injured. So we should see a heavy dose of Josh Paschal, Mitchell Agude, Matu Betts, and Isaac Ukwu this weekend. I really liked what Ukwu put together. Right now, Ukwu is on this team. There's no way that he's not, in my opinion. He is on this team. I want to see Nate Lynn get healthy and come back next year. I mean, that guy was playing well. And I know it's just preseason, but he showed us things last week, which is exactly what you want to see out of a guy like Nate Lynn. He was making some plays. James Houston with the bone bruise. Right now he's questionable for week 1. So does that mean he's even going to get in this weekend? I don't know why he's questionable for week 1. I don't think the Lions put that designation on him, but he's got a bone bruise. So maybe we don't see a bunch of James Houston this weekend. I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be your standout end this weekend?
This weekend, I want to see what Betts can do. I'm hoping that he has a really good preseason game. That is the one that I really want to see break out and do something. Him and Ukwu, those are the two I'm really interested in seeing this weekend.
Now, didn't the Chiefs say that they were going to start some of their starters?
Yeah, they're playing their starters, offense and defense.
So does that mean that we're going to see Marcus Davenport?
I doubt it.
I think we could. I think when he was talking about 2 additional players that could step up this weekend,
I was thinking more Levi and Paschal.
Well, yeah, but they played last week, didn't they?
Nope.
Levi didn't play last week?
Nope.
I could have sworn it. I know Josh didn't. I guess Levi didn't either.
Nope, they didn't.
Kyle Pecco didn't play last week, so maybe he'll get moved up this week.
Those 3, maybe they'll play.
Who else didn't play last week? Brian Branch didn't play last week. I doubt he's not going to play.
No. He didn't even practice yesterday.
So, yeah, look, I would love to see Kyle Pecco get in the game. I think Kyle Pecco's a lock on this team, too. He's been having a great camp. James Houston, I mean, we need to see someone. I mean, if we don't have any decent ends in this weekend, I mean, I'm not saying that Josh and Mitchell Agude and Matu Betts aren't decent ends. They are. This could be pretty rough game for the Lions, like totally lopsided. So Don't expect a win here. If they're playing their starters and we're playing our second and third tier, it's going to be ugly. Potentially. Maybe it won't be. Maybe we'll be surprised. I mean, we're pretty deep. Maybe we'll be surprised. Isaac Ukwu, I want to see exactly what he did last week, again this week, and more of it. Matthew Betts, I need to see him get, some upfield action rushing the passer this weekend. And maintaining his edge and not allowing any big runs, as long as he can contain and do his job that way, I think that's a win. He just needs to play within the scheme, not do too much. He definitely has the speed to beat some tackles, but if he's going to go up against the number one this weekend, that would be exciting to watch. So definitely pay attention to your defense, especially, second, third tier guys, that if they're going up against, number one offensive tackles and guards, that is a great test to really see how well these guys play. I want to see Kyle Pecco get more action. Broderick Martin, obviously another guy on the defensive line where we're heading to next that needs to repeat what he did last week, and again, more of it. We're looking for consistency now out of Broderick Martin. He's had a full game. Let's see what he can do week 2. So defensive tackle, obviously your number one is Aleem McNeil, and then next to him would be DJ Reader, but DJ Reader's obviously out. He's not practicing. Kyle Pecco should get some action, I'm hoping. He did not play last weekend, but I can only imagine that they're going to have to put him in. Levi Onwuzurike, I don't know. I don't think you want to get him injured. But if he's going to get injured, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter what game. It just doesn't matter. So would you rather know now, or would you rather know in week 3 or 4? I'd rather know now. Just me personally. I'd rather know now. So maybe there's a potential that Kyle Pecco and Levi Onwuzurike get in this weekend. If they don't, it's the Broderick Martin, Mekhi Wingo, Chris Smith, Pat O'Connor show. And that's what we're looking for. Linebacker. Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell are your number ones. Ben Nyman last week, phenomenal game. You heard me earlier in the, when we picked him up, that I thought that he was going to be a lock on this team right away just because of his special teams play. That's what I'm looking forward again to this weekend. He's got over 1,300 snaps in special teams in his career. Ben Nyman is making this team. I'm telling you guys, he's making this team. So what do we have next for the linebackers? I kind of went through some of the defensive tackles there.
So then you have Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez, Jalen Reeves-Maben, and Ty Summers, whoever that is. And then Abraham Buplon and Malik Jefferson. But I think Malik Jefferson was injured, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
But they list him on here, which is kind of dumb.
Well, they should still list them, but list them with injury.
Yeah. Could Rodrigo get cut? Somebody asks.
Did he or could he?
No, could he?
I mean, he could, but I just don't know.
I don't think so. I think Rodrigo's he's safe. He plays a lot of special teams and does a lot of things. Plays H-back and fullback. So I think we're fine with Rodrigo. He fits a role. Not only a fan favorite.
So I'm a little miffed right here. I could have sworn that Malik Jefferson was injured.
Yeah, I thought they released him injured or something, gave him a settlement.
I don't see it now.
Oh. Maybe he's fine then.
I don't know, man. It seems like information is so off from day to day.
Yep.
Let me just look at this from a couple hours ago here. Deron Gilbert was injured and released.
Ah, okay. I might be getting names mixed up.
But I could have sworn I saw, here we go. Worked with the trainer. So this was Malik Jefferson on the 12th. So he was injured as of 3 days ago. But maybe he's still with it. I just wish that we had better, more, up-to-date information. That's my fault. I didn't look. I didn't try to find it, but I'm going to have to start reaching out to some people and try to get these things lined up for the season, because all of these lists that are all over online, they're all wrong, or they're not up to date. So as far as the linebackers go, look, Ben Nyman, Malcolm Rodriguez, Malik Jefferson, assuming he's healthy, which it looks like he is. Those are going to be your primary linebackers this weekend. Again, according to CBS Sports, there's no injury listed for Malik Jefferson. We won't see Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, and Jack Campbell more than likely. I can't imagine that we would. But if you want to see where Jack Campbell is in his development in year 2, it would make a lot of sense to throw him in against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have a lot of unique plays over the middle of the field that, I think you're going to want to get Jack Campbell involved in. So it'd be interesting to see what happens this weekend. But Jalen Reeves-Maybin being listed as third tier, they just gave him a giant contract. Or not giant, but a giant contract for his position and what he's been able to do. I can't imagine, why he's listed as a third tier linebacker, but Ben Nyman's my guy.
Reeves-Maybin actually came on during the playoffs as a linebacker, not just as special teams play. I thought he filled in really, really well and hit the hole and stopped the run and made a couple rushes. Reeves-Maybin, he really came on as a linebacker at the end of the year.
So I see 7 linebackers right now that are going to make it very difficult for the Lions to make cuts. So it's going to be between Malcolm Rodriguez, Malik Jefferson, and Ben Nyman. I think obviously one of those guys are going to get cut. I don't think it's Ben. I think your locks are Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I think those are your locks. I can't imagine that Germ would not make this team. Malik, man, he was showing up great last week, but we need to see more. So Malik, I think, is the bubble guy. I think Malik and Malcolm are the bubble guys. I think that there's a strong argument that could be made there that either one of those guys could make the team and either one of those guys could get cut. They're playing kind of different positions anyway, so we'll see what happens. Corners, we'll speed this up. It's after 10. Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Corners, Terrion Arnold, your starter. Carlton Davis is a starter. Brian Branch is a safety as a starter. And Kirby Joseph as a safety is your starter. But right side of the corner, behind Terrion Arnold, right now we could see a heavy dose of Kindle Vildor this weekend. Mm-hmm. And Stephen Gilmore. The Lions just brought in Essang Bassey, or Essang Bassey, however you say his name. And I'm not expecting to see anything out of Ennis Rakestraw this weekend. Khalil Dorsey, obviously, is another guy fighting for a position. Look, I like Khalil. It just seems like he's been inconsistent. He had a play last week where he was completely burned. And we can't see that this week, especially against the Chiefs offense that can be very dynamic in many different ways. So heavy dose of Kindle Vildor, heavy dose of Khalil Dorsey and Stephen Gilmore this weekend. Be interesting to see who crawls out on top of this fight. Amik Robertson. Hopefully we see Amik back in the fight this weekend. Man, he was playing great last week. What did you think about Amik when, early in that first quarter, he seemed to be just all over the place making plays.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the Amik Robertson signing. That he's got the dog in him. I don't care how tall he is. I don't care how lanky he is. He seems to be sticking on people like glue. And him, Rakestraw, and Arnold all on the field at the same time was fun to see. And I look forward to seeing lots of it in the regular season.
So I think right now Amik Robertson is our starting nickel. And so in our nickel defense, I think that's where Amik is. I think that they're going to leave Brian Branch back there as, a safety. And, it's kind of weird to me is they have Brian Branch in front of Ifeatu Melifonwu, which is interesting because I think that I said in the beginning of the season that it would be Brian Branch over Kirby Joseph. Let me just double check this here. Look at my notes.
Maybe Kirby's having a hell of a camp.
Oh, he could be, but
I've been hearing more about the other Joseph, Brandon Joseph, during camp.
he's been having a good camp.
Yeah. He's a guy I don't think they can let go.
Yeah, if you have anything you want to add during the dead air time, I'm trying to find something.
Yep, sure. Yeah. So at safety, we have Brian Branch, Iffy, CJ Moore, and Lauren Strickland. And then on the other side, we have Kirby Joseph, Brandon Joseph, and Chalin Garnes. And I haven't heard anything about Chalin Garnes. Lauren Strickland, very little. And CJ Moore, not a whole lot from camp, but I know he was really good, and he was a big-time special teams contributor before he got the whole gambling suspension for a year. And that was what the Lions re-signed him for, was because he was not only a safety that could fill in, but he was also a great special teamer. So that might be what helped CJ Moore make this team, but he's going to have one hell of a fight with Brandon Joseph, I believe. And I don't think you can leave Brandon Joseph off of this roster this year. He's been having one heck of a camp. He had an interception in the game, and then he's had an interception in basically every practice since. And he was tearing it up in practice before the game last week. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do against the Chiefs on Saturday at 4:00. And this game may end up being a snooze fest. And I ended up looking up what the odds were for this weekend, because I'm a degenerate gambler and I cannot stop. So the Lions are a 6.5-point underdog, and they're plus 235 to win the game. So I bet $50 to win $167.50 if the Lions win this game.
What, against the Chiefs?
No, I bet the Lions to win against the Chiefs.
Even though the Chiefs are playing ones?
Yep, the Chiefs are a 6.5-point favorite. The Lions are the underdog. So the Lions are.
And so it's Lions plus 6.5?
Yeah, plus 235. Yeah.
No.
So,
Is it what's the point spread?
Yeah, 6.5.
So the Lions are getting 6.5 points?
Yep, they're the underdog.
Yeah, and you've got Nate Trashfield going out there.
Yeah,
Did you think this one through?
Hey! I'm ever optimistic, and I can't stop.
No respect. You sure about that?
I'm sure about that.
You sure about that?
Took me a minute to find the soundbite. All right, so I think I found my notes. So back when I was talking about all this, here's what I expected, because Brian Branch was more of a free safety at Alabama as well as their nickel safety, right? Alabama had a heavy dose of nickel defense. They employed, three safeties often. And so when I looked at that, and I looked at, where Brian Branch was playing with the Lions in the first season, playing in the nickel position, it did not make any sense to me, why or how the Lions would utilize Brian Branch at any other position than free safety. Okay. Where did my report go? Come on. Here we go. And so now on some of these depth charts, you see Brian Branch in front of Ifeatu Melifonwu, who's a strong safety. And I'm not saying that Brian can't do it, but my question is, you're taking a guy from nickel safety and free safety and throwing him into a strong safety position. And maybe that's just these stupid depth charts, that are doing this. But I find that interesting that they're transitioning him to more of a strong safety position. Are the Lions losing confidence? And if he had a great season last year. for the majority of the season. He played pretty well.
He really came on towards the end too, getting sacks and helping stuff the run. Iffy was really good towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I really liked Iffy up in the nickel blitz packages that we were running last season. It was fun to watch. All right. Well, anyway, we'll move on from that. So I'm expecting to see, Amik kind of take over that nickel position for the season. I mean, dude played incredibly well last week. Again, preseason, it is what it is, but your locks obviously is Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson up front, Brian Branch. What an amazing group of DBs. And Kirby, if he continues to, build off of last year's success at times, he was one of the better rated DBs on the team at times, but he also got torched at times and played out of position at times. So I guess I didn't see that as much out of Iffy as I did with Kirby. So it's really interesting to me. But anyway, Ennis Rakestraw, I'm not expecting for him to be on the field this weekend, especially if they're looking at these little ticky-tack injuries. Terrion Arnold, obviously, we shouldn't see. Manuel Mosley's obviously done. So I would expect to see, again, if Brian is the starter and if Iatu Melifonu's the backup, we probably won't even see Iffy. So probably a strong dose of CJ Moore, Lauren Strickland, and Brandon Joseph, which, you've got a battle between Moore and Strickland, and then you've got a battle between Joseph and Chalen Gaines, or Garnes, whatever his last name is. You've got a battle between Kendall Vildor and Stephen Gilmore. And I don't think this Essang Bassi, I don't think he really, excuse me, I don't think he really has a pony in this race, if you will. Jake Bates, the rest of the special teams crew, I want to see Jake hit some this weekend.
Yeah.
Don't go for it on fourth down. Just let the dude kick the ball.
Yeah. I don't care if it's a 70-yarder. Go for it. Let him try to kick it. Wouldn't that be funny if he broke the NFL record in a preseason game?
I don't know if it counts.
I know, but it would be funny if he did it in a preseason game.
Maybe it does count. I don't know. Does it count? Probably does. But that would be sweet. Let him. What is their record right now? 64? 65?
66.
66.
Yeah, it was 66 against us on that one that banged off the crossbar and went in and shouldn't have counted because they should have been backed up another 5 yards anyway.
Yeah.
And they
fun
shouldn't
stuff.
have time.
All right, I think that completes our roster for the day. I know we added a few things in here. So any words on the way out?
It's going to be interesting to see who we have back for punt and kick returns this weekend. I don't think it's going to be who they have listed on here. Is Mo Alexander going to hang on to punts if he takes punts this week? And yeah, it's going to be an interesting, but I'm guessing kind of a boring preseason game.
What is this Broski Bear saying that you're going to owe him tickets? Do you guys got a bet going on here?
Yeah, he thinks that the Bears are going to beat the Lions this year, and I don't think so.
Mean overall record or a mano here?
Mano, heads up.
Yeah. Hey, Broski.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I ain't going to be owing you nothing, broski.
All right. That's it for today. We've had another solid show, I think. A little bit slower of action today, but things are going to start to pick up. So tonight, saving all the goodies for tonight, we've got the breakdown of the Lions and Chiefs game. What to look forward to. Now, we went over the depth chart, but I'm going to go over the breakdown. So we're going to talk about last year's game and what the Lions did well. How can they, kind of pick up off of what they did last year? Chiefs are out for blood tonight. It's probably why they want to play their starters. They were completely embarrassed by the Lions in week 1 last season to start the season. They want to win tonight just because, they got their asses handed to them. Even though it was by 1 point, we outplayed the Chiefs, pretty well last year. But we're back, and Chiefs don't want us to win. And I think that this is a team that we could potentially see in the Super Bowl. As many have said, personally, I don't think the Chiefs are even going to make the playoffs. But that's just me. I know you guys all think I'm crazy, but I've been wrong before, but I've also been right a lot. We'll see where it goes. All right, you guys have been great. Thank you all for joining the show this morning. We'll see you back tonight at 7 p.m. right here on Rockdown Detroit Lions, part of the Rockdown Podcast Network. You guys have an excellent day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.